Hey everybody, so this is the second video for this week. That was my dog. The first video, we brought in the topography, this giant green mass that you're seeing beyond. So this was topography we pulled from Google, and it sort of has this bluff from Milwaukee's lakefront. So I just wanted something a little more dynamic to put my model in. You can choose, of course, any land area you'd like. So what we did there was sort of brought these two models together and made them talk to each other in that last video. So if I hide this, for example, you'll see that there actually is a hole cut into here. And it's important to do that to get these to talk to each other because you're going to want to be able to see these different lines and things where they connect. If you didn't do that, one thing that might happen is this topography might bleed over and kind of break through this our model here and kind of ruin some interior shots because you might see some ground cover coming in there, and that wouldn't be a good thing. So the other thing you might notice on here is I started to break down that conceptual model of the addition I want to do to the garden workshop, and I'm starting to detail it out. So right now I just have the wall in there. Hey, hey. Everything is white, so I haven't applied materials yet. And I'm just going to now in this video set up my scenes that I'm interested in. I'm also going to set up the trees and put some people in there. So I just want to sort of start bringing my views somewhat to life. So this is a good break from modeling and designing. So maybe I want to take a break from my project here, even though it's fun, but maybe I'm frustrated with it. And now might be a good time to sort of set up my views that I'm interested in. Because what you don't want to be doing is sort of detailing out a part of your building that you won't even see in any of the views that you're interested in anyway. That'd be a waste of time. So it's always good to set up the scenes early so you have some idea of where you're headed. Then you know where to spend your time. So let's do that. So one thing you'll notice here is my camera angle on this particular aerial view. The field of view for this is currently 35 degrees, and I can check that by going camera, field of view, and if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, there it is, 35 degrees. Now I can adjust that with my mouse after I've gone in the tool like I just did using the left click. And if I go up, it goes lower. If I go down, it goes up. Usually, aside from that, you can just type something in. So right now it's at 63.88. I can just type in 65 and hit enter. And it barely moved, but let me just go back to 35, hit enter. You'll see the difference between that and 65. So usually when I model, I change that. That's the first thing I change because I actually don't like that 35 degrees. Kind of has the look of Revit as a more orthographic sort of projection of your model. Not all that pleasing, at least to my eye. I like something a little more dynamic and stretched out. It makes your project look better and not designed better, so you can't just BS your way through it, but it'll definitely make your imagery look better. So I changed it. What did I change it to? 65. I might even go 75 on this one. And I'm going to look around, just kind of rotate around and see how things might look. That looks pretty good, actually. I'll leave it there. So my field of view is at 65. Don't have my shadows turned on yet, but let's just go ahead and set up our scenes. So in this project, I know that I want to do one like right here. Probably something like maybe like down like this. Okay, now I know by looking at this a design change I want to make. I don't want my railing to be solid. Maybe I want my railing to be like a cable rail or something that's more see-through because it's sort of blocking the project anyway. So that might be a good thing that I'm going to mentally note that, hey, I want to change that in my model. And I can do that later. That's fine. I'll still set up the view. I might zoom in a little. Maybe something like this. Okay. And then I might, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to add a ton of trees and stuff in here. So this will all fill out. But right now, that's a good base foundation for a model. I'm sorry, for a view. One thing you'll notice too is that my topography line sort of happens in the middle. I have about equal sky versus ground. So I'm a bit balanced there. So that looks good. Let me just add the scene. So I just went to the scenes tab and I just hit plus. So it just added it. I can, let me close some of these so you can see what's going on. If I click on this little button here, black and white kind of button, it says show details. So I could name this scene. So I could say like, oh, let's say this is the southeast view. Okay, so I can name that there and that's fine. Okay, so we can just leave it like that. Another thing I might do now is turn on my shadows. So the shadow, sun's coming down this way and I can move it around, see what's like a dynamic, kind of like that right there. And then I might go ahead and hit update here. And then I'll hit update here. And then the shadow setting will be saved in there. Okay, so I'm gonna turn shadows off. I'm just gonna move over to this side and get another kind of view. Ooh, I like this one. This is kind of cool because a little closer. I get a nice side view of this. I'm rotated enough where I still see the volume of this whole shape, which looks really cool. And I also get this cool hill in the distance. I might rotate up, I might rotate down, maybe up a little. That looks kind of cool. Yeah, I like how that looks there. So I'll go ahead and add that one, and I'll call this one Southwest View. And I'm just arbitrarily calling them this because I was just thinking, okay, if there's a coordinate system north to south, west on this side, east to the other side, this is the southeast corner. This would be the southwest corner. But you can name it what you want. You could call it exterior view 1, exterior view 2. Another shot I think would be cool would be like a nice aerial shot like this. So I didn't turn on the shadows in that one yet, but I can go back and update that at any time. So let me turn them on now. That looks good as is. I've sort of filled up my screen. It's not overloaded with, like, my project's not getting too tight to the top or too tight to the bottom. So I'll just call this one aerial view 1. Go back to this view. So I double clicked on it. It takes me right back. I'm going to turn on my shadows now, and I'm going to turn on, maybe I'll play with them a bit. Let's see what we can get. Ooh, that's okay. Yeah, we'll just leave it kind of there. And I'm going to update that one. So now they all have shadows in them. Then I'm just going to save one more view. And I'm going to go over to here. And I'm going to maybe do something like a courtyard view. Now let me show you a trick here. So that looks pretty good. I mean, that's, that's actually not a bad view there. And I could move this around to see what shadow, like I kind of like that. So this is in shadow, this is in sun. Looks pretty good. And I'll call this courtyard view 01. Okay, that's enough for now. That's four good shots there. Can always double click on them over here or on my tabs up here and quickly go to those shots. Very handy. You might notice some design changes you want to make, like I mentioned before. Very, very useful tool having these up there, this down there. So let's say these are the views of my project. I don't want to make any more views. I mean, I don't want to, I might make some interior views, but I don't want to make any more work for myself. So if I'm not seeing something in any of these views that's currently in the model, I'm not going to waste my time detailing it out or spending a lot of time on it. One, let's see if was it this one? I guess you do see this side a little, but let's say the back side of this structure, I'm not really going to spend much time over there because I'm not going to see it. So why do that? So, okay, here we go. I'm happy with what we have. Now let's start adding some people and some trees. So One thing you can do is go on to 3D Warehouse and you could look up, for example, oh, here, let's look at this one. There's a lot of interesting, okay, some potted plants you could bring in there, some very detailed, very nicely modeled ones too. Let's see if, see what else they have. So this person has 640 models in here, which is amazing. I mean, these are high quality models you could bring in with all the textures and really bring your project to life. You got to look for somebody like this who has got good stuff. The other cool thing you can do is grab something like this, which might be a really small model, but you want to make it nice and big. So it might be like a banana tree or something like that. So you could scale these however you want. So you don't have to worry about how big or small the model is in reality. Like this could be a palm tree if I wanted it to be. It looks like it's not in this case, but it could be. Now, just remember when you bring in trees like this, it's really going to slow down your model and it's really going to, like the tree high poly, that means high number of polygons. So bringing this tree in might slow things down quite a bit. But if you got a high, like awesome computer, by all means, bring some of this cool stuff. Like, look at these cool dead trees. You could bring those in, put those into the foreground. That would look really nice. Very cool. So you can play with 3D Warehouse, but just to get us started, I'm going to attach a couple additional models in here. The first, I'm going to attach them to this lecture, but the first is just silhouette people. So I have a file here with a ton of people in it. These are your classic SketchUp people, ghosted white, ghosted black. These have all, clothing textures and skin tones and things like that. And this is a sort of mixture of the two. Just no skin tones or clothing textures, but actual line work on the people. So really, really cool stuff. So if I were you, I would pick a camp to live in. I wouldn't mix them, but then you can just open another window of SketchUp. You can grab a couple people and bring them over. Okay. And then you can position them in your model. Okay. And the other file I'm going to bring in is the trees. Now, these are 2D trees. Okay. But the cool thing about them is they always face the camera. So no matter where they place, they will always face you. You can scale these, you can position as many as you want, and this really will not kill your model, which is very useful. So it can really bring your model to life without destroying the speed of your computer. The other cool thing is it has an edge to them, because you might find some 2D trees on 3D Warehouse that doesn't have this edge, and you'll see why that edge is sort of important later. Now, keep in mind all the textures on this trees, the colors and stuff, you can do whatever you want with them. Like this is sort of neon green, that might not work for your model. You can pick the tones of the foliage surrounding your model as you see fit. So I'm going to grab like this one here to start with. Okay, I'm just going to hit Control C, just hitting it a bunch of times. And then I'm going to go back to my model and do Control V. Here's my tree. I'm just going to place it over here. Okay, there it is. And it's behaving how it should. Now for the trees, I think I might put them, I'm going to start by putting them sort of back there. So I'm just going to put a bunch of these. So I'm using Control. I'm going to turn off my shadows for now. Using Move and hitting the Control button to make copies. And I'm sort of just placing them. A bunch of these guys. I'm going to make like sort of a background layer to begin with. Okay, so one thing I want to do right now is check my southeast view. Okay, you can see the ones I placed over here are they're going off the page, so that might not be that useful. And the one over here, I don't even see. So that's why it's good to always check those views. So I might bring a couple up into the foreground. Now my shadows turned back on because I went to the southeast view. So I'm going to turn those off again. Just going to get a couple of these guys in here. I know they're all the same, but bear with me. So I have all the same as a sort of, let's look here, background layer. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll Do one more, maybe way in the distance. Out there. Pretty good. So it sort of filled up this view. That looks pretty good. I'm going to check this view. Now I might want to add some more over there. Okay, off in the distance. I'm going to stick with this view for now. Turn off my shadows. I'm going to go back to the tree and I'm going to pick another one. Let's do a smaller. This little guy. I don't really like the color, but we can always change that in here. Add him. I'll put him in sort of foreground. There we go. Put it. Oop, okay. A bunch of those. Just sort of mix them in. Okay. Now let's say I want to change that color. I'm going to go to materials. I'm going to use my little eyedropper right here. Now you can always check what's in your model by clicking this home button. So I'm going to click that. These are all the textures currently living in this model. Now it kind of takes some time to maybe sift through this. I can tell this is the one right here, but you can always take your eyedropper here, click on the tree, one of them, and it'll say, hey, this is that material. Now I can go to edit. Let's see if we can play around here. Yeah, that already looks better. Yeah, maybe we'll make them a little darker. So as you can see in the background, it looks like I've kind of got a fall thing going on here, but let me go back to that southeast view. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's sort of filling up. Now I don't like how all these are sort of right in front of each other, and maybe this one, I want to maybe I'll move it down, and then I'll move it over. And see, this is why it's good to turn off those shadows. This one, maybe this one's really big, so I want to take this. I clicked on it, and I'm going to go to scale. I'm just going to grab this upper, and I'll make a big tree back here, like that. And this one I'll scale up. Make that a nice big tree. There we go. This one's sort of stuck back there. I think you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm just sort of filling everything up. Okay, so that's the kind of technique for trees. Now, this view looks good. Okay, but if I go to this view, I have to sort of check things. So I'll look over here. These trees are floating. So I'm going to want to fix that. You know, that's pretty simple. I can just move them down. And in this view, then I'm going to have to add some trees maybe over here, maybe going down the bluff. Kind of like the idea of it being sort of bare in the front for now. I don't know what I want to add there later, but this looks pretty good. So I'm going to definitely add more trees. And then I want to add people. So same technique for people. So I'm going to go to my people file. Yes, I have a file full of people. This is where I keep them. Sounds creepy. All right, so let's see. I usually pick like a ghosted, black, white, doesn't matter. I don't usually do this because I don't like the eye on your imagery. Oh, I'm gonna charge that. I don't like the eye of the imagery to get distracted by like stuff like that. You know, like I want them to focus on my architecture, not the parrot on this guy's shoulder. But sometimes that looks good in a project, so I'll leave that up to you. Sometimes it looks a little more realistic. But we're in SketchUp right now, so things aren't as realistic as when we get into Lumion. So let me just grab a couple people. This guy looks fun. This guy looks too serious. We'll grab him. Maybe this skateboard guy. Let's get some kiddos. This old man. He looks confused. Yeah, maybe. Let's get some women. We have a lot of men. Let's grab that. Okay, Control C. Now I'm going to go to my project. I'm going to rotate down. I'm going to turn off my shadows, and I'm just going to hit Control V. Now I can kind of see, okay, they're kind of all over, but I'll just place them right here. Okay. These guys are clearly off in space, but the first thing I would do is just sort of, let's just put these around on my project. This mom's scared waiting for her kids or something. We'll grab this guy, just moving stuff around. Now, what's cool about these people is they follow the camera too. This guy is having a moment of enlightenment right on the edge here. That's definitely where he's going to be. So that's another reason why I would want to put a more see-through railing so you can really see him. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this guy down there. And this guy down there. Okay. Got some people in there. Now, if I were you, I would just fill it up. Put a ton of people in, put them in the foreground, put them in the background. Now I'll go to this same view here and I'll just see, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Like I can see some people in there. Be nice to see some people off in the distance over here. Be nice to maybe see some people kind of down here, walking around here, and we can fill this up with other plants. That would look good. Let's say, for example, I went in here and I'm just going to remove the front railing because I know I'm going to do a different railing there. Then look at this view. That's kind of neat to be able to see the full body of these people I have on there. I don't like how these two sort of mix together, so I might want to move one of them sort of like over a little bit. There we go. So that looks looks like a good start. So I would say for this week, really get that site in there. Find a cool spot on the map, on the globe that you would like to do. Bring that landform in there. I would say retexturize it so we don't see the Google photo beneath it. Sort of tie it to your project and then add in some entourage of trees and people. And I will definitely attach these onto this video. But hit me up with questions, guys, and hit me up with video chats if you want, and we can look at your specific project. I've done that with a couple students already, and we sort of picked their new design apart for either their photo studio or, in this case, the garden workshop. And let's put this thing together and start making some cool imagery, because after this, we're going to sort of tie this together in Photoshop. So I really need you guys to sort of move forward. All right. Talk to you soon.